I'm not a kid.
And our point's more compelling than their fat little girlfriends.
What's up, my miners of intelligence and consciousness? I'm Rick Brooks, and this is Rick's Mind. Today we have a special show, and hopefully we don't fuck it up too much, but it's a college football special. There's been a lot of changes in the sport, so it's going to be a fireside chat. Hopefully it's not too chaotic, but Andrew, DeMarco, let's get into it. College football, and I want to start off by asking Andrew, the guest of honor, a question. Do you
wait, before you ask me a question, I just want to say it in the pod, dude, you're looking lean as shit, man. You're looking shredded.
Dude, thank you. Thanks, man.
USDA certified beefcake, brother.
You're gonna disappear on me.
It's been a process. I guess that's a good. I need to start writing for the Church of the Chubby again. But I'm on a ketogenic diet.
I missed that.
I know, ketogenic diet. I'm doing jujitsu, and just kind of. I'm still lifting, but like really, I've just been mainly focused on the diet, and that's paid off. And also, I better address this for the people just listening. I burned myself.
This is not a suicide attempt.
It's not. I've got my wrist, my forearm wrapped before the show. Well, this is a long story. We're just gonna get in. I went to Alaska. I went on a fishing trip and caught a 60-pound halibut. So I got the Green Mountain fired up. I'm enjoying the fruits of my labor. I went ahead and I got this fish marinating in capers, basil, olive oil, and lemon zest and lemon juice. So it's been marinating. I fire it up to 450 degrees, the Green Mountain, right? And I know that there's going to be a fire, okay? Because I normally cook low and slow, and I know there's going to be a fire. It's going to be a grease fire. Well, it shoots up to like 525 degrees, and the lid kind of blows up, so that freaks me out. And then Jen starts to panic, and I'm like, calm down. And I shut the lid, and I should not have lifted the lid up. And I lifted the lid up. Dude, hot, burns my fucking forearm.
I have done that before, but been lucky that it just like singed all the hair off of one side of my arm.
Look at my hair.
Aren't those Green Mountains supposed to be pretty like safe to like?
Oh, they're super safe. They're super safe. And part of it's the heat plate. I need to scrape that and clean do a deep clean on the grill. I'm lazy. I haven't done it. I just normally smoke things, but I wanted to kind of sear the halibut, and what I did is I cut up. Anyways, after the fire's been dealt with and my burns dealt with, what you do, now it's a cooking show. You slice up 2 lemons, whatever, how many you need, put them on the grill, and then you put your fish on the lemons, and I don't know, 15, 20 minutes later, when the halibut hits 133 degrees, you pull it off. It'll cook the other 2 degrees, and you have a fucking phenomenal lunch. So that's what I ate for lunch.
Ooh, nice.
But anyways, we're way off
good.
topic. Andrew, thanks for commenting on the leanness. You just know how to get invited back, dude. But do you all the changes that have been made, and John will have you pull up all the conference realignments that have been going on.
Yeah.
Do you think that the state of college football, do you think that all these changes are good or they're bad for the sport?
Oh, absolutely, they're good. You know what the adage is that no one likes change, and right now that's what's going through. It's going through change, and usually change is uncertain. And you can listen to any college football show, our show, and people don't know what they're talking about. Like they're saying, oh, so-and-so team's going to this, or they're not going to take them, or Notre Dame's going to do this, and no one knows. And so that's why it's scary. And people say, well, I like the traditions, and blah, blah, and these old school rivalries. And a lot of them aren't even rivals anymore. Like a lot of these rivalries are lopsided. So let's get new rivals. Like, you can only watch, Michigan beat Ohio State once every 10 years, then that's, oh my God. And then Ohio State goes on another 10-year run or whatever. So I know there's a lot of tradition, but I think if you want college football to thrive and to keep going, we have to keep pushing. Like my worst fear for college football is if it turned to baseball. Like, I can't stand baseball because it's like, oh, tradition and this, and it needs to get with it. So I think that the change is good, and we're going to work it out together. It's good. There will be some growing pains. I think college football in the next 5 years is going to be interesting because they're still going to be figuring things out, but I do believe it will be for the better for the longevity of the sport. And maybe, in 5, 10, 15 years, it won't be called college football. It might be, not semi-pro, but like the feeder league to NFL or something. We might not even call it college football, but who knows?
Okay, so so Andrew thinks the change is good. Some of the changes, and thanks, John, for pulling this up. We have the University of Southern California and UCLA leaving the Pac-12 and heading to the Big Ten. We've got no new contenders joining the Pac-10. Go ahead and scroll down, John. The Big 12 conference, you have... joining the Big 12, you have BYU. I think that's the University of Central Florida, Cincinnati and Houston joining. But then you have Oklahoma and Texas leaving, and I believe that they're going to the SEC.
Correct.
No one gives a fuck about the Sun Belt. I mean, I will I will say that's kind of rude. That's the snobbery. The Sun
we
Belt,
care about our mid majors here.
We have joining the Sun Belt Conference James Madison, Marshall, Old Dominion, and Southern Miss, leaving Little Rock and UT Arlington.
I'm excited to see how James Madison does.
Yeah, I don't even know who that is. But then
how's his sister Ashley?
What?
Stupid joke. Stupid.
I got it.
Conference USA, we have Jacksonville State joining, Liberty, New Mexico State, and Sam Houston leaving. We have Charlotte, FAU, Marshall, North Texas, Old Dominion, Southern, Rice, and Southern Miss, UAB, and University of Texas El Paso are leaving. Sun Conference, we have got Austin What is that?
Really, in those conferences,
Austin Peay
aren't making any money.
No, they're not.
And these conferences, these are like jumped up AA schools at this point.
So what I would think.
Sorry, go ahead, Andrew.
What I was thinking, because we could keep reading these off, but essentially, I was thinking there should be probably 4 major conferences. You could call it the SEC, Big 10, Big 12, or ACC, whatever, or just 4 of them with about 14 to 15 teams. And then I think those are the teams that are going to be the big money makers that are going to be playing for all the bowl games. And then maybe have another conference, or maybe even like another a playoff, and the winner of like these other conferences that like don't make money get a chance to play in the playoff, and maybe expand the playoff to 12 teams or something like that. But I think that for the most part, you have 4 big conferences where all the legacy teams are going to be in.
So, and I want to pause there because that's a good and valid point. But I want to get DeMarco's feedback. DeMarco, what do you think? Do you think that all the conference realignment, and then also, and I want to also put a caveat here. I think that people getting paid for playing college football is awesome. I think that think it's incredibly fair. I think that it's something that needed to happen, but just overdue. Because that's happening, it's probably may not be the best thing for the sport with regards to you're going to, what I'm afraid is going to happen is college football is going to turn into the MLB. But I'm talking too much, and I'll get into my, what I think, but before I get into that, John, what do you think?
So I think the conference realignment in some ways is good. I think I like when, conferences expand. My caveat to that would be I'm a boomer. I like geographically relevant conferences. And I think, I don't like, it pisses me off UCLA and USC going to the Big Ten, because then, I don't want to be a total boomer and be like tradition, but like my grandfather played in the Rose Bowl for Illinois and for Purdue. My dad coached in the Rose Bowl. I went to the Rose Bowl. The Rose Bowl in American sports, the Rose Bowl is one of the most historically important sporting events, it's up there with the Super Bowl and with, the World Series, in my opinion. You just decimate that. Like, so what? USC and UCLA aren't going to go. So who are we going to get? Like, fucking USC plays Oregon in the Rose Bowl. Like, I don't like that, but like, the bowls at this point have become nearly irrelevant with the playoff system. I think they need to change the playoff system. Well, I'll get to that, but conference wise, I'm not a fan of USC and UCLA going to the Big Ten just for TV money. I think with college football, like, and I guess I have a more nuanced take on it just because I grew up in college football. My dad was a college football coach my entire life. I grew up going to, big football games every weekend and like living in, I mean, when you coach for a team, you hella do, but when you're a member of a family where one of your family members, like especially if your dad is like his employment and our livelihood depend on how Purdue does. Like we lived and died by football, and like the intensity that college football has, I don't think is matched in any other sport. The closest I would think would be NBA basketball, in terms of like, for me at least, in terms of interest, I like NFL football. I don't feel that attached to NFL football. I think the thing with the other thing about why I think the geographically relevant conferences matter is because of how essential college football has become to the American economy. Like small town, college town economy, especially for these big D1 schools. And like I happen to live in one, if UCLA and USC leave and then they eventually take, like, say Stanford and Oregon bolt, or Stanford and Washington go too, then that fucks you don't get the Civil War every year. You don't get the Apple Cup every year. And yeah, the rivalries can be lopsided, and yeah, they're old. They don't necessarily matter in terms of like the bigger picture, but in terms of like local cultures, college town cultures, they matter a hell of a lot more than the national championship in a lot of ways. Like if you take the Civil War away, that's an insane amount of money that goes away from a town like Corvallis. Or if like, in Seattle, if they have the Apple Cup in Seattle, probably doesn't make that big a dent in terms of like revenue for people who need it. But if you go to Spokane, you sure as shit are making a huge dent potentially in the town's economy. But then in terms of football, I think it will be like, in terms of quality of play, it'll be great, because you'll have more, like, especially the Big Ten, like, good God, the football there is already so good. Now it's going to be a whole nother thing by having UCLA and USC in it.
Oh, okay. So you're kind of on the fence. You're not 100% in. Andrew is team progress. Yeah. This is the future. Let's fucking go. I'm going to give my Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
I'll give my 2 cents really quick.
Okay, yeah. I just think that those small towns, like you were saying, there's still going to be college football there, and I think that you could find just new rivalries. Maybe Oregon State and Boise State become the new Oregon.
Oh, I mean,
State
that would be awesome.
Like that. And then I think that it's just going to be new rivalries, new games, and not to say that you still can't have the old rivalries even when they do these new conferences and realignments.
The only thing that I'll add real quick before Rick, you go, is that the other thing you have to take into account is that for the Big Ten, it's really not that big a deal. Because those schools, between the money they make from now with CBS and the money they've been making with their own television network for the past decade or so, they don't need any money. They don't need to worry about money. So like having to fly to LA potentially twice a year, probably won't be that bad for those schools. But then when you throw in smaller schools that now are going to have to take, potentially have these kind of bigger, more spread out conferences, like you had that issue with West Virginia and the Big 12 for the past 5 or 6 years, where their travel budgets just like quadrupled because of, just how far they have to go to play in conference games. That like smaller schools like that, or OSU is kind of in that. The football program is like, they pay into the university, they make more money, but then you kind of really potentially damage the like university's income by doing like so much travel.
So I don't want to get too far in the weeds on universal spending. I mean, if we're going to talk about it, we need to think about it in terms of why this is happening is because of TV deals, right?
Oh yeah,
So
it's all
let's
because of TV,
stick let's stick to
that was the last Big Ten expansion was solely because of TV.
Yeah.
They got Nebraska because they thought like, oh, Nebraska could be good, and they got Maryland and Rutgers only because they were in the DC and New York TV markets.
Yeah. So I'm going to say this. This is how I feel. I'm going fucking full boomer on this. Number one.
Really?
All right.
I'm very surprised.
Okay.
I figured you'd love the chaos.
No, and normally I would agree with you. Normally I'd love it. And there's a part of me that does. But I'm afraid of all the schools that are going to get left behind because I am a member of one of the fucking smaller schools, and that's Oregon State. And I'm a Beaver fan, and I'm incredibly salty. I hate Oregon because of all the money that Uncle Phil gives them, and I can't stand. We're the giant killers. Yeah, My concern is I like the rivalry. I like that Andrew's a Duck fan and that when we first met each other, that was one of the things that popped up as he was a douchebag because he was an Oregon Duck fan. I'm afraid of losing that. I don't like that USC and UCLA are no longer a member of the Pac-12. I hate it. I'm concerned that... And I'm not. I mean, if you look at Nick Saban in the comments, he's said he's concerned because Alabama's hegemony over college football is at risk because they don't have the amount of money that a school like Texas or Texas, Penn
Texas
State,
is rich as hell.
They have all the Houston, all the SMU. Now, and I'll get to the other caveats of this a little bit later, but I think it's going to kill the sport because I think that these regional based teams, like people that are Nebraska, you have Nebraska, Colorado, those two people pay attention because they used to be rivals. You have Oregon State, Oregon, they're huge rivals. The Apple Cup, huge rivalries. You have Ohio, well, that's still going to go down, but I'm afraid of losing those rivalries. I like the tradition. Now, on that end, I am kind of excited about all the fuckery that's going on. I'm excited because who knows? Maybe in like 5 to 10 years, SMU will be another powerhouse again because of all the money that they had and that they were the only team that got the death penalty and now they can pay their players. Like maybe there's going to be some really small, insignificant conferences or schools that have a shit ton of money that are all of a sudden
SMU
like powerhouse.
already paid their players $36,000. They paid their players right now. Like a base salary.
Well, I mean, now it's
already.
legal. So
Every player.
Yeah,
I love
who
that.
knows? Yeah, and who
I
knows?
love that.
Maybe Texas, the University of Texas, or not Texas, the state of Texas will have like the best college football in the state, and it'll take it away from the SEC. I don't know. So I am excited to see the changes, but I feel like we're in a very dangerous position where a lot of it, maybe the older people that are in their like mid 40s to like late 60s, they're gonna be like, what the fuck is going on? I hate this. I don't know.
But what's gonna change though? Like say even the last 10 years, how many different champions have we had?
Not that many.
Four or
It's
five.
it's gonna be the same thing. So like people are saying these smaller schools are gonna get fucked. Well, I don't really see the difference, like
I
we've
think
got
if
the
they're gonna do
Clemson's,
that,
Alabama's.
they need to have like just do a whole new level, like split Division 1 into a new Division 1 and Division Double A or something.
So that's exactly what I was talking about earlier when I actually wrote I was bored and I actually have hypothetical 14-team SEC, a 14-team Big Ten, a 14-team Big 12.
Let's hear this.
Which one do you want to hear?
I want to hear all
do
of
the
it.
Big Ten. Yeah, I want to hear Big Ten.
Okay, well, we'll start with Big Ten. So this is, and I just kind of did this quick, so if there are some mistakes or if I didn't name one, but this is what I was saying. So you got your Ohio States, Michigan, Penn State, Michigan State, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Nebraska, USC, UCLA. Then this is where it gets fun. South Carolina, Indiana, Iowa, Notre Dame, Stanford.
I mean, yeah, I'm into it. I mean,
Okay,
all right.
I'll give you my Big 12.
All right.
Oklahoma
this is
State,
insane.
Baylor,
Okay.
Texas Tech, TCU, Iowa State, Kansas State, Kansas, Oregon, Washington, Vanderbilt, Purdue, Illinois, Northwestern, Oregon State.
What? No.
I love it.
I'm out.
No, he's
sorry.
selling me, dude.
I was on the first one.
No,
out.
I'm being sold right now. This is interesting. We could play
ACC.
the Cyclones. Okay.
Great.
Clemson, Miami, Florida State, North Carolina, Pitt, Virginia Tech, Louisville, Arizona State, Kentucky, Maryland, Rutgers, Colorado, Cal.
This is terrible. I'm out now.
I'm out.
So
This is ruined
you
it.
just got rid of the Pac-12, bro.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What?
Absolutely, I did.
Why did you do
I hate
this?
it. I hate this.
Why
I
did
You know
you
why?
do-
Do you know why? Because listen, I've been in the Midwest, East Coast, and I'm kind of feeling their bias. Like the majority of the population lives in this time zone, and the majority of the population does not give a fuck about Pac-12. I promise you, I've been here for 2 years. As soon as Ohio State is done playing, they turn the TV off. Nobody gives a shit.
Yeah, but
And
I mean
so-
that's no different in the SEC because they only care about their school.
But this
Well,
is
right, exactly.
But
So
the
if
SEC
we
is
get
the
these,
best-
if we get these schools to go over and play these schools and make them come and play us, or they have to stay up and watch a game, in Pacific time, that's just gonna be more eyeballs, and then more people are gonna watch. And so that's kind of where my idea was, is like they're not watching anyway, and so that's why we're going for the money. Is so let's force these people to watch
See,
these teams.
I think a better way to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish is have a playoff, split it, 16 teams, 8 from the East, 8 from the West. And then
No,
you play
I agree.
and then
We
you
should
come and
definitely
then you
expand
play
the
each
playoff.
other. There's no West versus West. It's West versus East. Split it down or whatever, come up with something. And that's how you expose people. But I think like at least in American sports, American sports, even college football forever has just been driven by capitalism, and the just money, especially the last 10 years of college football is insane how much money has come into it.
Well, can we talk about that real quick then? Like,
Sure,
so
yeah.
we were talking about let's talk about the players and just the financial and just how much more money people are going to get paid. Because
Yeah.
I think even right now, in every institution, the highest paid employee there is a basketball or football coach.
Yeah, I think
Now-
everyone but North Dakota, which is like a medical school president.
Yeah, and now like you're going to have some players come out of high school making more money than all the professors. It's
Yeah.
going to be wild, and it already is
I think-
happening.
Yeah, and like I think it's good that players are getting paid. I think the NCAA fucked itself, which is not exactly surprising since that's kind of their signature move, and didn't put any kind of like not restrictions from letting players monopolize themselves or monetize themselves, but some sort of like a cap that like almost protected the players, that they could sign these deals. They have X amount, but it's put in trust, like a blind trust, and they get the total of it, minus like a monthly salary or something, but the schools should be like but even that, the endorsement money is whatever. The players, if you've got endorsable, statistics when you're 19, get your paper, man, while you can.
Did you see
But,
what's
like,
that
the
one player
schools-
named the coldest?
No.
NIL deal with a fucking AC unit company.
Oh yeah, my favorite was
Love
like
that.
one of the first ones was like the power forward for Iowa, their basketball team was the first one in Iowa to sign a contract, and it was with like a local like restaurant or something. It was the most Midwestern like wholesome endorsement deal. That and the Auburn quarterback signed a deal with Milo's sweet tea to endorse that in their hamburgers. Like,
So awesome.
I think like the schools need to be also paying. There needs to be like revenue sharing, profit sharing with all the players. Regardless, it should just be a flat percentage on the team. And if you can get signed for Nike or Milo's sweet tea or Granny's barbecue or whatever shit down the street, that's on you. That's outside of that. No one gets a piece of that but you. But the schools should be paying them outside of room and board. They should be getting like a stipend salary that's like not like professional level money, but it should be significant. It should be at least $100,000. They could all afford to pay, even if you cut the roster down to say like 60, 70 kids instead of like 110,
So
do that.
can we real quick? we've brought over the pros. I do want to kind of bring up some cons. A smaller school like Oregon State, Washington State, these Cyclones, just for example, off the top of my head, when you start paying players, like we're not gonna get the best players. And you know what? Let's say this.
We don't already. They all go to Clemson, Alabama, Ohio State, and Michigan.
I understand that, but like even if we get a diamond in the rough, someone that's really good, like that Oregon State is really good at doing, with the Jaquiz Rogers. There's a fucking transfer portal now, and that person can just leave the team.
I mean, the transfer.
So it's
the transfer portal thing is so complicated because it basically I think that players should have some sort of agency over where they go, but it should again, this isn't if college football is going to be, it's essentially semi-pro ball now. If this is going to be semi-pro football, there needs to be semi-professional level money going to every single player, including the third string punter. You make the team, you get paid.
Yeah, definitely.
If we're gonna do that, then it needs to be it shouldn't be as crazy as if you transfer, you have to lose a year of eligibility or go down a level and then transfer again. It should just be you can transfer, but you only get one transfer every 3 years. That way, there's some sort of way to contain this, and you can't transfer until you're halfway through sophomore. Some sort of restriction.
It's a terrible idea, but I also kind of agree with it because the more autonomy, this goes back to what I guess caveat. This goes back to what we kind of talked about in the beginning. We understand that this is actually just and pretty fair, but it probably is killing the sport. Or maybe not.
No.
It's
college football as it is. It has been dead since they started this new playoff model that isn't a playoff. It's just a BCS without the computer. It's now just completely the people shoving in the same teams as always.
You know what I think we should do? This will never happen, and it's borderline insane. But do you know what I think they should do?
What
is these kids shouldn't even go to college anymore? They shouldn't even be students. They should just be athletes. Really, and so you're severely reduce credit load during the season. Because you know what college football should be? Football should be the D2 schools, the D3, and that's college football. The people that have no really shot of going professional. You might have one at every couple drafts or whatever, but that was college football. It was all right, we're gonna get these guys who are really athletic and good and strong, and then they're gonna play college football, make some, earn a degree or whatever, and then go about their lives and their job. These kids now, Arch Manning isn't going to Texas first degree,
Yeah.
No.
So it's let's cut the bullshit. These guys aren't students, really. They're athletes, and college basketball is even worse than football.
Oh yeah.
So
I think a way to do that.
Let him talk.
Yeah, go ahead.
We're already, they're going to be getting paid. They're going to be getting money. These kids aren't going to be giving a shit about school, and they shouldn't really. They have to worry about their bodies and everything. So it's just what if there's somehow these teams, say Oregon, just sponsors these schools or whatever, and they use their facilities? I don't know, because it's just such a bullshit thing to say that these are student athletes when really these kids are taking.
Yeah. I think at some point though, we could end up doing some sort of looking at the way that professional football in Europe is done, like soccer, how each club, in lower leagues has, or how baseball has with all of the,
farm
AAA
teams.
all down to single play, have farm teams.
Right.
If these colleges are going to be making almost as much money as the NFL, then pay your players and do something take the Power 5 conferences, and then figure out whatever, and if it's going to be geographic or whatever, that, the sports change. So let's just change it. Let's just blow it up and start over. Everything under the Power 5. So you have the WAC, Sun Belts, the American Conference. Those are still kind of do like they did where they split from Division 1A to Division 1 AA, that now it's, what is it, Football Bowl subdivision and Football Championship division or something like that.
FBS,
do like
FCS.
that. Yeah, the Power 5 has its own, you can play all these other schools, it's still the same system, but these schools are also then sponsored or are farm teams of actual professional football clubs. Like, and if that means expanding the NFL and having like a real minor league system or something. I mean, this country's so hungry for football. It's comical how many startup football leagues there are.
Yeah, and I'm so sick and tired of watching these garbage ass leagues start up for half a season and it's horrible football, and then they just they go under. Like the XFL's promising all this and stuff, but like
my godfather coached for the team in what team was it? I don't know. They all lived in Birmingham, Alabama. I don't even. He coached for one of the teams, and
the USFL just this year.
Yeah, and he said it was pretty interesting.
Do not shit on the XFL, okay?
We're not talking about the XFL.
I know. I am a diehard believer in it, and I hope it takes off. I followed that.
Oh, me too.
Religiously.
Yeah.
I was a Houston Roughneck. Shout out to all the Houston Roughneck fans out there. Perfect season. Most of our team is in the league now. A huge fan of the XFL, and I hope it does well. I mean,
if you think of it in that along those lines, right? So say the NFL is our premier league, premier division. We don't do promotion and regulation, so it's like baseball farm teams. College football is AAA. So
sure.
let's just formalize the system at this point. The NCAA has outlived its usefulness in terms of football as a sport. Now, for the smaller sports, that's another conversation, because that's another aspect of this conference realignment stuff. Is if the Pac-12 falls apart and it goes back to the Pac-10 or Pac-8, what are the other sports going to do? Because is like track and field all the sports at UCLA going to go, or are they going to stay Pac-12 for every sport but football? Kind of like how Notre Dame is every sport in the ACC except for football.
Well, actually, could you Google that real quick? That's a good question, because I can't. I'm pretty sure that USC and UCLA are just they've gone to the big. It's the Big Ten, right?
They'll go to the Big Ten. I think this season or next season will be their last seasons. Yeah.
2 years.
So they're still in the Pac-12, but in 2 years they'll be Big Ten, at least for football. I don't know how that works. I'll look it up.
It's a good question. I don't know, man.
Because that's. This is kind of because I come at it from two. My dad wasn't exclusively a college football coach. He also coached basketball. He coached track. He coached baseball. He coached softball, like anything. And so, like, I've grown up in American university culture, specifically around the sports mostly, but just the whole culture. There are, like, what do they always say, that statistic in the NCAA commercials that they do, that it's like 97% of NCAA athletes don't go pro.
Yes.
Or that, don't go pro in sports.
In something else.
Yeah, something else. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we're professionals,
so
and blah, blah.
There's so much more going on than just football. However, football, and football's the best sport, let's be honest.
Yeah,
but college basketball is great. College baseball is fantastic. College soccer is pretty good. Track and field's amazing. There's it's a bigger organization than just football, which is why at this point it feels like D1 football should just spin out into its own entity, and that way it does not affect the operations of all the other sports.
But the thing is, they make all the money that subsidizes all the other sports. Like, if there was no football,
that's true.
I would say
that's what the Stanfords, they got rid of rowing and all these other bullshit sports.
Even OSU pays. OSU football and basketball collectively pay for all of the other sports. Like that was like at Purdue, even at Purdue, which is like kind of middle of the road Big Ten, football paid for every sport, including basketball. Like, that's how they built the giant like swim complex that's like incredible, that they now have like very routinely have Olympic swimmers and divers that go to Purdue to train. Like it's a bigger picture than just football, that it's going to be really interesting, because this is a much bigger shakeup than, when was that, 10 years ago, that like Nebraska and Rutgers and everybody moved and like went to the Big Ten, and then the big what was that, what was the conference of the East, the Big East? That's the one that fell apart and then became the American, right? This one's going to be really kind of earth shaking in terms of college football.
It's going to be it's insane, and I don't know if the sport's dead or it evolves into something else. I think that for me, the NC2A, the only thing that they've ever done good was put on the NC2A tournament, the basketball tournament. Yeah. I think that's the best thing they've ever done. I think that something as important as college football to be trusted in the hands of these assholes has been terrible for it. But I just...
And they deserve it, too. Like, they've been acting as fucking slave owners since the inception of it.
Since it started, yeah.
The transfer portal...
And especially...
The transfer portal pisses me off, too. It's because when we were playing college football together, Andrew, like... There were times we talked about transferring, but we lost a year of eligibility. So like that's why I'm like pretty.
Unless you
like,
went down to what,
it was
D4,
100% Zeus. Unless you were going down right?
Division,
if you went down a division, then you didn't lose an eligibility.
You
but like if you were, so it was so unfair. And a lot of people that were playing with us could have definitely fucking gone up a division. Like, gosh, dude, hold on. What was his name? Satani Tatufu. Shout out to Satani. Dude was
Cincinnati Bengals, right?
God, he was probably like six. Yeah. He was both of his brothers starting nose tackle for the Cincinnati Bengals, starting left tackle or right tackle for the Philadelphia Eagles at one point, and his little brother played at USC. This dude had his bad grades, and I remember watching this. He was like 6'3", 6'4". We had a special teams like. He ended up playing like tight end. This is a defensive end. He ends up smoking this corner. His hands of a fucking angel catches his pass. I looked at him and I was like, "Why the fuck are you D2?"
Oh my god, I've been saying this for years.
Great. And I was like, "You shouldn't be here. You're so good."
Oregon. Shout out Western.
He probably wasn't after
D2
that
program.
season then.
And I promise you, every person on the team, Rick included, me. Everybody on the team had a sob story why they weren't D1. Oh, fucking grades, injury, fucking coach, SAT, didn't register in time. Oh, whatever. Everyone has a sob story why they're not in D1.
Freshman year.
When you're in a D2 program. And the moral of the story is, though, you're right where you're supposed to be. If you're at D2, you're a D2 athlete because you couldn't get it done for your grades on the field.
If you're not even double A.
For you in the D1 program, they have 100%. Guys that got the grades that are just as athletic or better or stronger or smarter or whatever. So if you're a D2 or D3, that's who you are, and I'm okay with that. That's okay.
That's it. Me too.
Yeah. And I found the answer to that with UCLA and USC going to the Big Ten. The plan is that all of the Olympic sports will go to the Big Ten except for at both UCLA and USC. Men's volleyball and water polo will stay. They're already in a different conference in the Mountain Pacific Sports Federation, and their beach volleyball teams are going to stay in the Pac-12 because the Big Ten doesn't have beach volleyball.
See, but if I'm the Pac-12, I'm gonna be like, "Fuck you!" Like,
yeah,
that's exactly how I'd be like. No.
I forget what happened. There was something happened when my dad was at Purdue. I remember that something like that happened, where like a team moved. Like I think it was a team going up in division. Like that was at Boise State. When Boise State went 1A or went D1 in football. All of their sports stayed in the Big Sky except for football, and then a couple years after that, basketball went up, and then I think then the rest of the sports all went D1, but they're all in the WAC, except for football and basketball.
No, football is in the WAC, isn't it?
Now it is. I'm thinking back when they were in the Mountain West.
Yeah, because Boise
thing.
State couldn't join, and also I remember. Back in the day, wanting Boise State to join the Pac, then Pac-10, but because of the academic requirements, they weren't able to do it.
It's not even the academics for the students. It's about the research. It's about the actual university.
Yes.
So that's why when TV deals for like when Maryland and Rutgers joined. Maryland has pretty good science. My cousin went. Her freshman year she rode at crew at Rutgers, and her freshman year she was a genetics major. Her freshman year is when Rutgers joined the Big Ten, and like she even said when they went in, their labs were like okay, but they were getting more access to research and to better academics and better like information sharing with all the other Big Ten schools that are all like each one is some sort of world renowned for some sort of like STEM field. And then by the time she graduated, they had like labs and faculty on par with the rest of the Big Ten. So like that's why Boise State will never be able to join the Pac-12 is just because their academic program is non-existent. It's a good school for like, you know, you need a liberal arts degree or just need a college degree. They have a good trade school too, but it's like, it's not a great school. It's an okay school. Like if you went there, you did go to college, but it's not much more than a community college.
Let's not throw any shade on Boise State grads. So
I mean, Idaho's gone downhill. Let's be honest.
We're not getting into that. We're purely talking college football. Okay.
Boise State has gone downhill since Harsin left, and that shit was insane because like I won't name names because I don't want to. You know, I've got ins, but like longtime friend of the family coached at Boise State, went with Harsin. And like just hearing about all of the stuff at Boise State after that, it was like culture shock when Harsin left because they like everybody was floored because every coach before Peterson left and then just started throwing shade on Boise State left and right has been like die hard for Boise State and like genuinely want to stay there.
Yeah, Chris, let's see. Is Chris Peterson still coaching at?
No,
but
no, he's an analyst.
On, facilities and stuff with money too. I feel like we were just a little too late because when we went to college, we actually had our facility area. We called it the ghetto. It was an old, dirty, wet couch in a dark room, and that's what it was. And that was kind of the And that was kind of the great. Now like everything is like. Big screen TVs, couches, you know, your own locker with your own locks in it and stuff like that.
There's whole YouTube channels that have enough content weekly to put out like, you know, brand new $120 million locker room for, you know, Miami, Ohio.
It's crazy.
Field
you can go
hockey
to NFL
There's so much
and
money
then have
in
worse facilities in college. Like if you're at LSU or somewhere and you go to like Cincinnati, you're like, what the fuck is this bullshit? Like Cincinnati didn't even have like an outdoor practice facility.
Like, I've been in a few NFL weight rooms, and like, granted, I was in the Miami Dolphins weight room when I was like probably like 8 years old, so in like 1998, 1999, they had a great weight room, and that was on par with like any college weight room of the time. But like, I've been in the Green Bay Packers weight room within the last 10 years, and it was like a closet compared to like, good God, have you seen Alabama's weight room? Like. Or like, who's another one that just built a huge one I just saw? Like even the smaller schools, like UConn has an insane football facility. Yeah.
You do have to compete, but you know, little schools.
Why do we care about little
you
schools,
guys
though?
say?
But honestly,
we're already because listen, it's easy for you to say like,
culture.
Why
it's for the culture.
Why do you care? Because you're the school that you so happen to follow.
No, I'm a wolf.
Oregon State. Y'all are a jumped up Oregon State.
Like first of all, don't get twisted. Shout out.
I'll stop. Let's be real. Let's get the Civil War beef going. Okay, Oregon State. We know what we are. Okay,
yes.
We're historically one of the worst teams in college football. Like my dad got recruited here and didn't want to come here because it was so bad, and instead went to Cal Poly. You know. Oregon is exactly the same, and both schools outside of, you know, corporate sugar daddies and just a few good years like Oregon State in the late 90s were like mid-majors at best, right? But it's like there's something special about the rivalry that you lose when it's just, you know, y'all got money now, so you're too good for us.
Yes, because we can still beat you. We have beat you in the you know, the last 5 years.
We've traded games for the last 4 years.
Yeah, it's been glorious.
This whole state as a whole does not have enough population to make it a good football state. And
who cares? Y'all are recruiting, you know, linemen from Wisconsin. And
I'm saying, but that's what I'm saying. So back in the day, so we're talking
y'all
about
got the guns.
If it was just like if we didn't have the money, and it was you know.
Yeah.
No.
I thought you were talking about now,
saying.
and I'm
so
like,
you have
y'all
to
are
have
all
that
no
edge
flash. You
no
know,
one
all
will
that
watch that
no flash.
football because you know Ohio has 11, 12 million people in it. and it's quite a big black population, and other people. Oregon has like 3-4 million, majority white.
Yeah, even outside of
5.
population, Oregon just doesn't have
Right.
the culture
So,
for football.
like, you have to, and like it's crazy. So Oregon just got one of the best 5-star quarterbacks from Detroit, Michigan. I'm actually going to try to watch him play this year. And people were saying like, "Yo, like what happened? He was supposed to go anywhere but Oregon." And for the fact that they snagged him, and he's going to be playing there next year, is insane. And and everyone's saying, "Oh, NIL," and he says no. He wants to win and compete and blah blah. But like it has to be NIL. Like that, because even Kayvon Thibodeau, like he said, like he was the number 1 pick that Oregon should have gotten. They're like, so why'd you come to Oregon? He was like, oh my god, it's such a funny thing. It was like a BCS game. He was on with Joel Klatt, and he was just making fun of like how dumb people are in Alabama, while him being like very ignorant, like saying wrong words and stuff. But he was saying, I went to Oregon for my connections for Nike. It's a global brand. I can go anywhere. And so that's kind of the thing where Oregon has now is like, you come here, we can not get you just with the university, but we can get you in, meet Mr. Knight, the guy who started it all, and you could be set for life.
Yeah, but you still get your ass whooped anytime that pressure's on.
But they don't care about that though. Like we can't. College as a whole, it's like the Oregon brand. Yeah,
but so that's kind of what that's kind of what I mean. Like college football. Yeah, okay, it's semi-pro. It's I know that these guys go to play football. They're not going to school, but you're going to fucking play football. Like. So make it so everybody gets paid, and let's stop with this. Like now, it's become who's got the biggest.
It's almost
piggy
like the
bank,
Dallas
even
Cowboys.
more than it already
like Dallas
was.
Cowboys haven't done shit forever.
And there was still a trump card.
We're gonna.
Yeah,
I mean, to be honest,
Cowboys
that's a pretty good
shit,
allegory.
They're still the most, like,
let's be real.
I think one of the most
y'all got
biggest
money.
brands
Y'all
in the
got
world.
flash.
Still one of the most like valued.
But you're still fumbling the extra point.
Des caught the ball though.
Let's stick to let's stick. He 100% caught the ball. Let's stick to college football. For the listeners that don't know this, I have a huge.
He is, but they've been bad for so long.
I am a big Dallas.
He downplays
he's a huge. Yeah, they're bad, so he's not really the biggest.
Yeah, once they go to ball, I've been a believer
since
since day one. Call it now.
I don't know. I've pretty much given up on the belief. I don't think we've made no moves in the offseason. To be honest, I'm less of a sportsman than I used to be. I am getting sucked back in to sports. I feel like I'm a recovering heroin addict that's just getting the pull back because I've been watching Hard Knocks. I've been paying attention to what's going on in college football, but I mean
they're doing in-season Hard Knocks this year.
Yeah, I know, which is sick. We are running a little bit low on time, but I do want to ask: do you guys prefer John? Do you prefer college or the NFL? Same question to you, Andrew. John, go first.
College, and it's. I like the NFL. I love the Seahawks. I've been watching the Seahawks since I was a little kid. I don't look at them as like one versus the other. I look at it as apple versus oranges. It's a different game. It's the same game, but it's a different style. And college football, there's more going on, at least that I am like related to, that I have experience with, in terms of like the feel, the atmosphere, the like college teams mean as much as pro teams to big city, but in a lot of ways, especially the smaller the school gets, they mean a lot more. It's a lot more like high school football in like states like Texas and Ohio. Like people live and die by the Beavers or by the, Wildcats or whatever fucking school you go to, But I do love NFL. I think the difference for me is like NFL, I'll watch Monday Night Football or the big game in the Seahawks and then probably not anything else, but I'll watch a D3 college football game any day of the week. Like two schools that I have nothing to do with and don't even give a shit about. I'll watch their football game.
I am
Andrew.
100% opposite of that. I love college football too. Don't I love watching like especially teams in the Pac-12. I love Oregon. I root for Oregon State when they're not playing the Ducks. I love like rooting against Ohio State here. I like the big schools and everything, and I love it. Like going to college games is probably even more fun than the NFL game. But if I were to watch any game, I could watch any NFL game. Where college, if it's a smaller school, I'm like, why do I want to watch that? It's bad football. I don't know anybody. NFL, especially now, I think athletes and quarterbacks are getting so much better too. Like you can pick any team and there's like a new young quarterback. They're like, oh, that's interesting. What's Tua doing? Oh, what's Herbert doing? Oh, Joe Burrow. Or, the defenses are so good. They're so fast. It's so interesting to watch. Where you go and watch a safety get burned so many times in college. You're like, all right, this guy's never going to play in the league. So why do I care? So I think if I'm watching on TV, I'd probably pick NFL. If I'm watching like my favorite college team or gonna go to a game live, I'll probably go to a college game.
Ooh, that's actually okay. That's a fair point too. I feel like it means more regionally, right, at the college level, and there's a lot. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm an NFL guy, 100%. I love the purity of the game, that it goes back to its fundamentals, and there's nothing better to me than the NFL playoffs. It is so incredible, and the refs they just let them play. They tend to not interfere that much. I love it. I love college as well, but it's a little bit sloppy, or a little bit more slow, and you don't see it. The best example I can give is Reggie Bush. Like, he was a phenom in college, probably one of the best college running backs I've ever seen play.
Hands
I loved
down.
him. The 1-2 punch between him and Lindell White is absolutely insane. When he got into the league in the preseason, he tried to bounce it outside. DeMarcus Ware of the Dallas Cowboys ran him down, tackled him, stood over him, and waved his finger. And that's just to say,
well, they all were
welcome to the
kings.
fucking NFL, Reggie. Yeah. I'm just as fast as you are. Everyone's just as fast as you are, and our football IQ is better. Until you've been here, until you're not a rookie, dude, get the fuck out of here. And that's
I remember. In college, I would say that year college football, those were probably two of the top 10 best college teams ever, with the Texas and USC. Vince Young, you had Lindell White, Reggie Bush, Matt Weiner, and none of them did shit in the NFL. I think Reggie won a Super Bowl. Not really a big contributor, but I'm saying like
Reggie
none of them were like
factors,
but in college they were gods. They get to NFL.
Yeah,
I think that's why kind of the college football is cool. Like, I like that. Like, yeah, it's dope when dudes just like shred in college and then shred in the pros, like Aaron Rodgers. He was fantastic at Cal.
Yeah.
But then you've got guys like Jason White, who in college football was arguably better than Aaron Rodgers in every single way.
Quarterback for Oklahoma, right? Oh, dude, I forgot about him.
Won the Heisman, and then didn't want anything to do with pro, and just went to back to being small town Oklahoma, dude. I think he owns a car dealership, or he owns his own business or something. He's doing fine, but like, I think there's something special. Like, there's that kind of connection to, like, America doesn't really have much culture, right? We steal culture from other countries, or we export movies, but that part, like that little bit of Americana, that's true, actually American culture. And like, while the NFL's great, that is a part of it, but there's something special about some dude who's just like, nah, I'm good. This was cool. I played for Oklahoma. That's all I fucking care.
Whoa,
I'm going to go sell insurance now.
Hold on. I don't think that the league wanted anything to do with him.
He got tryouts. He got a lot of tryouts, and I think he actually got on a practice squad.
Okay, but yeah,
or at
but
least
that's
got
not
an
him.
offer for it.
But that's a clear distinction here. That's not him saying "fuck you, NFL." That's the NFL saying you're not good enough.
No, he wasn't saying "fuck you, NFL," but he had been very open about the fact, even before he won the Heisman as a senior, that he didn't want to play professional football. He just wanted to go to college, win the Heisman, and then stop.
John, I don't know. I really don't know if I believe this.
He tried it out. He tried out, I think, but
if he tried out, then he wanted to play, man. I take offense to.
I just think it's cool. I just think it's cool. I think there's something cool about the small town, or like just like only caring about like just that and not just going.
Who do
into
you think the best college football player?
Like, I think the NFL is.
Like, I don't want to say bust, because that's like a negative connotation, but like someone who just the NFL didn't work out for him.
Jamarcus Russell. There's no other. There's not even a comparison. Like Reggie Bush, you could make an argument for Reggie Bush. But Reggie Bush
he did.
have a decent career. He made teams. He was a good punt returner. He was a good special teams guy. He had a place. Jamarcus Russell washed out before even the first season was over.
Okay,
Like,
It was crazy.
what
but
was his contract?
That story where they
Like,
told him, "Hey
he
man,
made,
did you
like-
watch the film?" And they like didn't even have the disc and the DVD, it was blank DVD. He's like, "Oh yeah, I watched it, coach." And he's like, "No, he didn't even open it." Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I would say Vince Young for me.
Really?
Yeah, he had some moments, and I think that I've watched interviews. He just wasn't wasn't grown up enough to understand that this was a career, and he was such a special, amazing athlete that he didn't realize how much study and the hardest part of professional football is between the ears, right? Like, it's a mental game at that level. You got to study. You got to really work on developing your craft. And he wasn't willing to do that. I think if he had it to do over again, I think things would be different. But he just wasn't as mature as one would hope, especially if you're going to be a franchise quarterback. So mine would be
Go ahead, sorry.
mine would be him. I also looked up Jason White. He was not drafted at all because of his knee injuries. He tried to get into the NFL, and no one wanted anything.
Okay.
Dude, the reason I say that, and the reason I knew is bullshit. There's so much fucking money to be made, and
Sure.
you don't even have to love the game. You just got to make it.
No,
if you can
just
make it for
you make
7
one
years. You get a
practice
pension.
squad. You're making $400,000 in lifelong pension, like you're saying.
No,
yeah.
league minimum is like $400,000 a year. If you make
that's what I said.
Yeah, if that you
Practice
got to make
squad's
it
at least.
No, but you're
Practice
not in
squad's
the
almost 200.
But you're not in the league. I think you're gonna make maybe like $100,000.
Yeah, you make
maybe
more than
for a
that,
practice
but-
squad. That's a good question.
it's
I'm gonna
more
Google
than
this.
more than 100.
Is it really?
Yeah. And it's been that way for a long time.
Hold on,
NFL practice squad is 165,000.
Oh shit!
minimum.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my god, that's
The average
awesome.
is 252. If you're 252,000 if you have 2 years of experience.
Oh my god, dude.
That's why I know people who have like that, played at a mid-major college, got an education, played well enough to, get drafted and or not get drafted, but get signed after the draft, make one practice squad 1 year, bounce out of the league, but they made like damn near $200,000, made connections, got the even if you make one practice squad, you do get some benefits for a very long time. Might not be lifetime, but it's like 5 to 10 years. That gave him enough money to go and get a master's degree and a PhD, and now he's practically running a very large university. Like, he's like second in command for that.
Buddy.
And it was because of the money he made and that opportunity he got because he played at a small school.
That's so sick, dude. I didn't know you made
I
that much
think
money. What were you gonna say, Andrew?
The college
Yeah.
player that I think that just balled out, that just didn't do shit in the NFL, was Johnny Heisman, aka Johnny Manziel, Johnny Football.
Oh,
Yeah, he went out as a sophomore, right?
Yeah, he beat
after
Texas.
he won the Heisman. Right?
He actually was an Oregon commit, and he decommitted to Oregon because God, who was there at the time? I can't remember, but he came to Texas A&M.
It was the guy that went to the Titans.
Mariota?
and obviously he's a Heisman
Mariota.
winner, so that's a smart choice. But dude, Johnny Football at Texas A&M was nuts. And just because he was reckless, like
He
you said,
was.
he was that kind of guy that was partying, and he was undersized, and he there's nothing about him made sense, and he's just balled out, and that was just fun to watch. I remember that was just crazy.
And now that said, to that, there's something special about the NFL, that college, that is like, because of college, you have guys like Tom Brady, or guys like, how
Russell
many
Wilson,
Hall
Tom
of
Brady,
Fame players played it? And it, yeah, right. And it was even more, it still is now, but even more the guys that were like all-time greats that played in like the late 90s, early 2000s. You had guys going to like D3 schools and then becoming like all-time great wide receivers.
Michigan.
Like where did Tom Brady play? I
He
forget.
played at
Like
Michigan. Yeah.
Yeah, and he wasn't bad. He was good. He was a good Big Ten quarterback, but he wasn't anything special. He became special in the NFL. Yeah. I think that part of it is really cool, that you get guys like those are often the guys that are the best, are the ones that play at the smaller schools, don't have all the the glory and shit that they get in their head from like high level D1 and then go ball out for the rest of their lives.
Tom Brady was splitting time with another quarterback. I can't think of who it was.
I think it was wasn't it the guy that was Cole something that he ended up going into the professional baseball. He was a pitcher for the White Sox. Cole.
He was something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Some weird story. He had like he didn't do well in the NFL and then went and played baseball or something like that. What is? But listen, I think this is a lively discussion. I would like to do something like this again.
Maybe a mid-season.
Like check-in. But Andrew, you got any closing statements?
I want to say thank you guys. I don't know if you noticed. I had to do this because I have a Bell's palsy right now. So like half my face doesn't even work. Yeah.
Sorry, he's making weird faces in for the people listening.
I apologize. It's weird. Second time having it too, which is crazy. But no, I want to leave you with this. I had a question. What is your guys's, and we'll do it quick, but what is your guys's all-time favorite college football memory from any time you've been alive that you remember? You can be there at a game, watch on TV. Favorite college football memory?
The Bush push,
man.
Reggie Bush pushing Matt Leinart into the end zone. That is my favorite moment because I fucking hated USC so much. So I rooted against them. I rooted for Notre Dame, who I hate too, but that's how much I hated Pete Carroll's team. And I remember when Leinart tried to do a QB sneak in, one of the linebackers came up and hit him so hard he like spun out of the end zone. And it's like fourth down, and they tried it. They tried it again, and then he didn't get it, and Reggie Bush pushed him in, and he scored. And
I have some Notre Dame fans out here that you can't talk about to them because they get fucking irate. Like, you can't talk about it.
Dude, let's be real. We love everybody, but fuck Notre Dame. I could have a whole fucking show where I could just go off on why Notre Dame's history is all bullshit and how much their school is bullshit, just about even worse than Oregon's.
But okay, John, what's your favorite memory?
I'd split it to two. Watching football as a fan, the kick six. 2003 Iron Bowl. There is no better. That just literally watching. I had just moved here and I was watching it on TV and I was like, I probably blew up my whole apartment complex screaming when he got past like the 40-yard line and the guy on the race, Auburn's gonna win the football game. That was one of the best memories of my life.
I forgot all about that.
Going to a game, being there, being involved. Was I think it was 2002 Purdue Ohio State when Drew Brees hit like a 45 or 50 something yard pass right down the sideline to who was it? It was one of our great receivers. I can't remember, but we beat Ohio State and that was I think that put us in for a part or like we were in line for the Big Ten title with that. That was amazing.
Obviously I was a Texas fan, Vince Young, way back in the day, so I love that. But I'm actually going to do it. It's not my favorite, but it's going to be my most memorable because I remember vividly, like where I was, what I was doing, what I was wearing, what I could smell, everything. And it's kind of a sad one, but I remember when Dennis Dixon for Oregon Ducks went down against Arizona. Foggy day, dude. I was at a
against Arizona.
Damn. We were going to win national championship. He was going to win Heisman. Like it was insane.
No question.
And I thought we were going to win, and then he went down, and I remember just staring at the TV like, oh my god, what is going? And it was so foggy you could barely see, and you were confused. And it was.
Didn't he tear his knee again in college? In pro?
I think he's coaching now.
I don't know.
Because didn't he play for the 49ers?
No, he played for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And he never, I don't think he ever got a fair shake. That was, but sorry,
I remember, because I must have been in high school for sure, but and that was like when Oregon was like Oregon. That was like the beginning of Oregon becoming Oregon. So it was very exciting because before we weren't really anything, and oh my god, this is our first time we're going to give get a Heisman quarterback. And then when he went down, I just remember like that was so crazy and so sad for him because he was awesome. I remember going to a game like that year too, real quick, and they weren't playing USC. I think we were just playing Washington or something like that. But I think was that when USC was there, or they were playing USC, and what was that quarterback name? John David Booty, and they just signed.
Or no. Oh yeah,
I forgot about him.
Dixon, your booty, and I love that one.
That's awesome. Well, that's all we have time here for today, but I love the conversation. For everyone, thanks so much for listening. We kind of, this is definitely a deviation from what Rik's mind does, but being you are in my mind. These are the things that plague it right now, and I am a bit of a sports junkie, if you can't tell. If you deem us worthy, please give us those 5 stars on iTunes. Also, be sure to like and subscribe on our YouTube channel. We also have a Clips channel, so peruse on over there. We're anywhere we find podcasts. Share with your friends, family, whatever. We're growing. We appreciate you guys hanging in there, and I can't wait. Episode 100's coming up, and we've got a lot of pretty awesome guests fucking queued up, guys. So stay tuned. We'll see you next week.
Thanks,
Peace
guys.
and love, friends.
Let's go Beavs.